This is Hanging with Hayes, the podcast where real life takes center stage. I'm your host, Chelsea, wife, virtual assistant, photographer, dog mom, and entrepreneur. Join me as I dive into the everyday experiences that shape our lives, relationships, and everything in between. Remember, these are my personal opinions, so take them with a grain of salt. Get ready for candid conversations and genuine insights. Welcome to Hanging with Hayes. This is Hanging with Hayes. This is Zach, my guest today, my first official podcast guest with this setup.
Very nice. I like it.
How does it feel to be the first podcast guest?
This is professional. I dig
AF.
it. AF. Definitely.
So, figured we could talk about like how we met. That's a funny story.
Yep, it's been a wild ride.
Yep.
Yeah, you moved into my duplex, and then Zach stole you for 11 years. And here we are.
12 years.
Oh, it's been 12 already?
Uh-huh.
See that? I'm not good with math.
In April, it'll be 12.
That's how you know I'm a Marine.
It is April. So at the end of this month, it'll be 12.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time.
Yep. How did we... That wasn't the first time we met, though.
Yeah, I think the first time we met, you showed up at my house.
Yep.
And you were with a friend.
Yep.
And I was drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to play war?
Yep.
I was playing with a deck of cards. And,
That was my favorite card game. Still is.
Yeah. I didn't even know what was happening. I was like, there's girls here.
There's girls.
Where'd they come from? I didn't invite them. It's good times.
Was it one of your buddies that invited her? And then...
You know, honestly, I don't know because I got
that was weird.
Well, it was weird when I got the duplex because I got out of the military and I didn't have a house. So I was like, I'm going to rent one.
So you're homeless.
Yeah, basically. My parents were nice. Like, you can stay with us. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I'm 24. So with mom and dad. And I got a duplex.
There's nothing wrong with living with mom and dad.
Well, at the time, most of my guy friends were single. So I messaged a few of them. I was like, hey, let's get a duplex together, right? 'Cause, you know.
Oh, that's how that happened.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I had one buddy move in, and then another buddy moved in. And I was the only one that moved into that house in a relationship. It was crazy because he moved in, and he was in there, maybe a month, 2 months. He met somebody. Now they're married with...
He was only in there a month?
Kyle was.
Really?
About a month and a half. Now he's...
Dude, that's weird.
They're still together, and they have a kid that's, I think, 9. I think he's 9 now. Yeah. And then he moved out, and then my other buddy moved in, and they're brothers that were living there, and then they met people and moved out.
They met people.
Yeah. And then, of course, when you're paying the full rent, so to divide it by 3.
That's expensive.
Yeah. I think that was about the time that you moved in. Mm-hmm. And then very shortly after that, you met Zach.
And I moved out.
Yeah, and you moved out. So people are moving in and like they're moving in single, they're moving out in a relationship.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny because it seemed like everyone that moved in there that was single moved out in a relationship.
That is true.
Or with a kid. One of the two, yeah.
Was this like, what, 4 people? 3 people?
It was about 5. Yeah. Because I was the only one there in a relationship when I moved in, but I was also the only one that moved out of that house single. So there's that. The house was cursed.
I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it cursed you.
Well, I think I'm just cursed.
No.
Well, I made a lot of bad decisions back then.
I mean, don't we all?
Yeah, I was young and stupid.
I drank too much and got called a chair.
Well, in your defense, you were a chair.
I don't remember that at all.
You were drunk.
I mean, I know that. That's all I know. We were around the fire, and that's all I remember.
Yeah. It was just funny how kind of everything just morphed from that to...
Yeah.
You know.
Like, completely different person
Yeah.
than I was back then. Times about 100,000.
For the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is an understatement of the century.
Yeah, it's crazy seeing how you've changed since you met Zach. That's how you know he's a good guy.
I think it's like... You see these comments of,
Yeah.
what's your husband do for you?
What does he not do for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the amount of words that you can put into that, you really can't, but I am literally proof of that.
Well, I think it's important for people to understand that the right relationship can make or break you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And I had very, very bad ones.
Yeah.
compared to what I'm in now, 100% night and day difference.
Yeah, it's crazy how that changes, like the people you date and then what you learn from it and
Or what you don't.
what you don't. Yeah, I keep making the same mistake.
History repeats itself if you don't pay attention to those history lessons.
Yeah, it's important to take a step back and think about what you did right and what you did wrong. And
Because if you don't, you're just going to continue to make those mistakes.
Right.
But everything's a choice.
Right. Well, the common denominator in every relationship's you. So if your relationships aren't working, it's
sounds like a you problem.
Sounds like a you problem. Yeah.
And especially if you continue to date those same types of people.
Right.
I have a few friends like that that are like, this person, this problem, this blah, 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 blah. And finally, after 3 or 4 relationships, said, maybe I'm the problem. I'm like, yes, you think?
Right.
I think you are. I mean, accountability is a good thing, but
right.
Sometimes we really need to just...
Let's cut that out. That coffee came back to get me.
I wonder how loud...
That was probably so loud. Oh, now she's cackling. You would think I was German with a voice like that.
Holy fucking shit.
If that was any louder, I would not be single. Oh my God. Dunkin' Donuts says hello. Too much creamer.
We'll cut that.
Why am I talking like this?
Fucking microphone.
Don't eat it.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Okay. So we'll keep this cut part, but I just want to start diving into stuff. All right, Zach. Let's talk about male leadership and self-improvement.
Male leadership.
Leading from the front and setting an example. Importance of being a role model for children and peers.
Well, it's important as a man, I think. Just my opinion.
All of this is our opinion.
All of it, yeah. I think it's important, though. You're setting the example for everybody. Because I remember as a kid looking up to people that were older and seeing them and kind of emulating how they dress, how they act, type thing. And it's important, I think, when you're around kids to kind of set the example in every aspect.
Kids are sponges.
Right. And they pick up everything. And it's important to set the example in how you treat people, how you treat them, because one of the biggest things too is when you're talking to a child, it's not the same as when you're talking to an adult. And there's a lot of psychology behind that too, because it's not just, you're not just talking to a child, you're talking to someone that's eventually going to be an adult. So you have to make sure that when you talk to them, you're using the right tone, the right, and obviously I don't have kids. So when I'm talking to a child, it's not my kid. So I have to talk to them that way too, if I'm talking to them, because most of my friends have kids. Maybe one day you'll have one. No?
He really wants us to have kids real bad.
I do. I think she'd be a great mom. Think Zach would be a great dad. The dogs need someone to play with too. So
I think the dogs would go crazy if we had a kid. In a good way. Very...
Well, it's important, because 30, 40 years down the road, when your kid has kids and your grandma, and then your house is full of people that are here because you and Zach got together.
Yeah.
It's deep.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. I don't know. It's important too, in a relationship, to lead from the front, because...
prioritizing yourself.
Right. Because if I'm in a relationship, I need to make sure I'm good. If I'm not good, no one else is good, because...
What are you filling? A cup that's empty?
Right.
How are you going to do that?
Well, it starts, in my opinion, it starts with the diet, it starts with exercise, because health is wealth. Health is very important to me, because back in 2019, I thought I was dying, and I went to the hospital several times, and I'm getting everything tested and checked out, and everything was fine, but I wasn't feeling fine. and ended up going down a pretty big rabbit hole with diet and ingredients and stuff like that. And I could talk about that for hours, but a lot of foods have a lot of ingredients that are not good for you. Found out I had a lot of yeast in my blood, which is a fungus.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was causing most of my problems. But when you're on a diet of fast food and energy drinks...
I was going to say, well, how'd you get that?
Well, it's a fungus, and the only way to get rid of fungus is to starve it, but the yeast gets fed by sugar. So if you're consuming a lot of sugar...
That's addicted to sugar.
Yeah, if you're eating a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, everything breaks down to sugar, then you can't get rid of it. There's herbal supplements to help with that, and obviously cutting sugar out helps. And
yeah,
and then you find out stuff about the body. It's interesting, like the lymphatic system. It's your waste system, but your lymphatic system can't get stuff out of your body unless you're moving. And I'm a truck driver, so I'm sitting all day. So it's like I got to go to the gym. I got to exercise. Yeah. And it's important too, like, especially if you're in a relationship and you're going to start a family or whatever, because your kids are going to see you, and not just going to see you, they're going to see all of you, you know? So if you're not healthy, your kids are going to see that. And is that the example you want to set for your kids?
No.
Is that the example you want to set for your wife? Because in my opinion, you need to stay attractive. Like, I can't ask my wife to stay attractive for me if I'm 300 pounds and not exercising. So leading from the front, you know, if I want something, I got to do it for myself first, and then, you know, because I can't ask something of somebody else if I'm not doing it.
I think you have to get sick of your own shit, too.
Right.
Yeah. That's what happened to me. I got sick of my own shit.
Right. And if you don't change anything, nothing ever changes.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to actually do the things to change.
Right.
Because nobody can do it for you.
Right. And the nice thing about being in shape and stuff is you walk into a room, people look at you different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which is really a weird feeling, but
it is, especially if you've been on both sides of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can attest.
Yeah.
When it was 75 pounds heavier and people just look at you like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
but you also carry yourself differently after you lose weight.
It's weird because...
I'm not body shaming, obviously. You can do whatever the fuck you want, but I got sick of being treated like that.
Right. And it's really different, too, because from a guy's perspective, you try not to treat people different based on certain things, but people make perceptions on how you present yourself.
Yeah.
So if I see someone that presents themselves in an athletic, healthy, fit way, I know they're disciplined. I know they're, you know, they care about themselves. And discipline, I think, is the biggest form of self-respect. So if you really love yourself, it's going to show. And you can see some people that don't necessarily love themselves. Maybe they're not there yet. Everyone struggles with that.
Granted, there are the people that have like hormone problems and they try to exercise and shit, but like when they genuinely are just a blob of blob.
Right.
Do you love yourself?
I'm getting there.
I'm not talking about you.
Oh. That's rhetorical. You gotta let me know.
You gotta catch on, man.
This is a podcast. You asked me a question. What the hell? I'm working on it. Yeah, I love myself when I go to the gym. When I don't go to the gym, I'm just like, you lazy mother.
I just feel gross if I don't exercise. Even just moving. Just a 20-minute walk changes my entire mood.
Oh, yeah.
Being in the sunshine changes my entire mood. I realize how much of like a little lizard I am when the sun comes out. And I'm like, oh, I'm alive again. Okay. I'm not a little gremlin.
I love lamp. This is why we're friends.
Yeah. This whole episode's gonna be us laughing.
Right. Well, it's funny, when I'm driving truck, you know, you're sitting there all day, you're staring out the window for 8-9 hours, and you're sitting there like, you know, brain dead, which is nice because you can talk on the phone, and you can go places, and it's like you're getting paid to travel. Love it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and you're making good money doing it. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're going over the road, you basically park the truck, you go inside, take a shower, grab something to eat, then you come back to the truck, and then you lay in your bed, play on your phone, go to sleep. Which is terrible, because I've seen some of these truck drivers, man, they get out of the truck, and then they're just waddling into the truck stop, and they're just wheezing, and I'm just like, no, that's not going to be me.
I've seen a few like at rest stops when truck drivers will just get out and exercise while they're in the rest stop, and I'm like, that's very admirable because so many of them don't.
And the food at the truck stops is so terrible. It's all greasy. There's nothing healthy hardly.
Pizza,
yeah.
all pizza.
So I got this job, and I'm able to work out about 3 days a week. You know, because I come back to home base and there's a gym close by, and I'm able to hop into the gym, which is really nice because that's one of the things I wanted to do when I was going over the road and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But now I'm able to work out, and it's nice because you can feel it after you do it for a few weeks.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
like
that first couple of weeks when you first get into it is the hardest, I think, because
God, it sucks.
Everything hurts. You're sore. And
you feel kind of like a noodle.
Right, and then like if you're not used to lifting weights and you overdo it, like there's times where like I would go out and do like a bicep workout, and then the next day you feel fine. You're like, oh, this is great.
2 days later.
And then 2 days later, it's always the second day.
Always.
You wake up and you're like, I can't feel my arm.
Yep.
But
I love it when my calves are like that. I can train my calves every fucking day. They still feel like I've never exercised in my life.
Right.
Every time. Or abs. Abs feel the same way. I'm like, I hate that.
Well, I've always been a small guy. So it's like I don't have like, big arms, big muscles, nothing. So it's like when I work out, and I lift something, it's funny because people look at me, some of these guys that, they got those big arms and they're looking over at me and I'm picking up a 40-pound dumbbell and I'm just like, doing my workout. And they're like, But it's funny. You'll see all that too. Like when I was in the military, you have some of these guys that, you got the jocks.
Yeah.
These guys are 6'5", they're 300 pounds, they're
just muscle.
And then you got the guy that's 5'2", 100 pounds,
strong as a horse.
Doesn't look strong, but mental strength, like you're not stopping that guy.
Huge.
Dude's a gremlin. He's just coming at you. Well, it's funny because most people think the military is these big, strong guys, and the military is a lot more like a mind. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, I can't talk about other branches, but when I was in the Marines, you would have guys that are like 5 foot tall, and they would just be spider monkeys, man. They'd be running faster than some of the bigger guys.
Oh, I bet.
They'd have strength that you wouldn't even expect, and just the mental strength. And I think that's what pulls people to the military in a way, because you have these people that have never had that,
You have to, mentality.
Well, it's more of you have people that are born with strength, and they've been able to have that their whole life.
I feel like strength is a muscle, though.
Right. But you have those guys that have always been the small guy.
Mental muscle, not. I didn't mean like.
Well, I know. But there's those guys that are always been small, always been weaker, and always had a chip on their shoulder.
Yep.
And those are guys you want in the military, because you tell them they can't do something, like, oh yeah, watch.
Bitch. Watch me.
Oh, it's funny because some of those guys, man, they just don't stop.
I bet.
You have some of these guys that are like 300 pounds, and you have it's just like high school. It's a bunch of guys, and they're all
competition.
They're all giving each other shit, and then you got the 5 foot guy. Like, we're going up this hill, and everyone, even the strong guys, are like, oh, because you got the 80-pound backs.
Yeah.
And then you got this little spider monkey.
You're like, no problem.
You're like, what the? Okay, now if he's doing that, I better get my shit together. And
yeah.
It's nice because it kind of pushes everyone together, and everyone. It's one of the best and worst things that a guy could ever do.
Yeah.
Like, the military is fun, at least my experience. Obviously, not everyone's experience is the same way, but
no.
We all go through the same crap in the military, and it's kind of what brings us all together. Like, there's guys I've been out since 2010, like 15 years now, and there's guys I still talk to.
That's insane. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, I got out in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And that was just the military, because I got that apartment back in 2011, 2012. No, 2011. 11. Right after I got out, yeah.
11.
Yeah.
Because we met in 13. I met you in 12.
Yeah, and then 13, yeah. Yeah, because that was right after that other relationship was going on. Yeah. Good times. Talk about learning experience.
I do want to go back on what you said about like lifting heavy weights as a man. The other day we were doing shoulders, with my girlfriend at the gym, and I started out, and shoulder, they humble you. I was doing like 5 pound, 8 pound weights. I can do like 12s now. Okay. This guy walks up to us and he noticed that. And he said, "You can do 12 pound." I'm like, "Yeah. That's badass. I want you to know that. You're really lean. That's badass." I'm like, "Thank you." It made me feel so good. I'm like, "Thank you." He's like, "I noticed." I'm like, "Okay."
Your shoulders are one of those workouts, man, where like that was my weakest area when I started working out again.
Oh my God.
So I'll do it on leg day because I was doing like chest and triceps Monday, back and biceps Tuesday, legs on Wednesday. But because I can only work out 3 days a week, I'm doing shoulders and legs on Wednesdays. And when I first started, I couldn't even do like 10 pounds above my head. I'm sitting here like,
Like on the machine like that,
yeah,
or
like
with
top
dumbbells?
of my shoulders, like where you're going over your head.
Yeah.
And I was barely like pushing 5-10 pounds when I first started, and now I'm up to I think 30.
Yeah, I'm at like 20 doing those, which I'm like, that's good for a girl. I mean, that sounds fucked up, but I don't know. It's really cool to see how your muscles progress like that.
Oh yeah.
So quickly.
Oh yeah. I'm to the point now, like last week, last Tuesday, it was back and biceps. I don't know what happened.
That day that you lifted like 50,000 pounds.
50,000 pounds, yeah.
That app makes me laugh. Being able to see that, thinking to myself, how the fuck? Like,
well, it's nice because it keeps track of like what you're lifting, your workouts you do, and your time and all that.
I did that for 3 or 4 days, I think. I used it. I had like a pass or whatever, and I used it. But that was fascinating just to see. Like, oh, that's the equivalent of this animal. Like 20,000 pounds. Like, what? That's weird.
Well, it's crazy too because once you start going, like there'll be days you put the headphones on, you just get in the zone, and you're just pushing. Because I was at the point where when I was doing back workouts, there's a machine where you have the individual arms.
Yeah.
You pull them down at the same time. And when I first started doing that, I couldn't get past 30 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, because my back was weak.
Yeah.
But I started working out last year because I took like the last 4 months of the year off. And so I started working out. I was going every day. And then once you get past that first month, I think that's when you can really start pushing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Tuesday last week, man, I was just going to town. I was like, this is easy.
That made me laugh when you texted me. I was like, Jesus.
Next, this is easy. And it was crazy, too, because 2 days later, my back didn't hurt.
Really?
Yeah, I expected my back
to... So it was just used to it.
I guess. But
that's interesting.
I went from not being able to do 40 pounds on that machine to being able to do 110 last Tuesday. It was light, so I just kept going. Kept going.
Holy
and I think that's why I got to 50,000 pounds. Because what I'll do is I'll do 25 reps of the low weight, and then I'll
25.
Yeah. Because this is
I live to like 12 maybe.
It's a weird way of doing things.
I'm doing it very heavy.
Because I do high reps, low weight.
Yeah.
And then I'll go down in reps and up
you
and right.
just exhaust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would rather be able to do 25 curls with a 25 curls with a 25-pound dumbbell. I'm not good with the numbers.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But then there's a guy at the gym a couple weeks ago. He saw what I was doing. And I was over there doing curls. I started with the 5s, I went to 10s, 15s, 20, 25, 30, 35. And I got all the way up to 40, and I could only do 5 of them. And he started looking at me. He's like, why are you doing so many reps? I was like, well, I can pick up the 25-pound dumbbell, and I can curl it 25 times. What's your max? And he's like, well, my max is like 40. I was like, okay. Well, pick up the 30-pound dumbbell and curl it 25 times. You couldn't do it. So like the high reps works the muscle, and maybe it overworks it. I don't know.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
I would rather have the strength and not have the bulk than have the bulk and not have the strength.
Dude, I would rather be strong as fuck.
Right.
I do not, like, I don't care if I get bulk, whatever. But I know you have to work very hard to do that.
Right.
That is like my job. You have to make it your fucking personality.
Right.
But I'm at the point where I'm starting to see definition in my biceps when I'm curling, and I'm like, bitch, look at you. Yeah. Like, I was curling some today, and I walked out of the room, and I said, Kevin, look at my biceps. I can see it through my long sleeve shirt. I'm like, look at it. It's so cool to see, like, your body changing in that way, especially as a female. My arms. My arms were the last thing to lose weight. So they were like 14 inches for the longest time. I have no idea what my biceps are now. I have no clue.
Well, it's nice when you get that tightness where you can grab your arm. Like even right now, I can grab it and it's solid.
Yeah.
You know, before you grab it,
You're just like a little...
Yeah, it's like, I'm a man. I can't have this.
I
I think.
Okay. So I saw this video. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
On TikTok. Holy shit. Of a female that is completely unaware of her surroundings. Walking into a store, her head buried in her phone. It pissed me off. As somebody who has had her pew-pew license for so long.
Yeah.
And as somebody that is a female too, and she's just not giving a flying fuck about her surroundings at all. It's very frustrating because you can only say so many things to people because then they say that you're fear-mongering.
Well, I think fear-mongering is an excuse to disconnect yourself from reality.
Oh, I agree.
And you see a lot of it on TikTok and social media. You know, people aren't living in reality.
No.
Because there's what actually happens and there's what they want to happen. Or, well, I feel like this and I feel... No, what you feel is what you feel, but reality is reality.
But your feelings are valid at
Yeah.
the same time, but...
Yeah. Well, your feelings change.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's
you know,
fleeting.
It goes back and forth, you know, where reality is reality, you know. There are bad people out there.
Yep.
And you got to be prepared for that, you know. Unfortunately, most of the time, you know, a man can help with that. Not all women nowadays want that, but most men have the best interest of the people around them, even if...
Good men.
Yeah, good men.
Yeah.
Have the interest of people around them, you know, even if it's not someone they know or whatever, you know, public places and all that. And unfortunately, in certain situations, when you try to help, like that guy in New York on the subway, you know, you try to help somebody and you get burned for it. And,
Literally.
yeah. It doesn't really make people want to jump in and help, but...
No, because I was listening to a podcast about that. Not about that, but it was a true crime podcast. Surprise, surprise. I'm obsessed with those. But they talk about that. Like, there is so many people that just do not want to be bothered or bother people in those situations. But at the same time, what happened to being a decent human being?
Right.
Where's compassion?
Well, I think a lot of that went out the window during the whole... I don't want to say the female empowerment movement, but you hear about it on TikTok all the time. We don't need no man. Don't approach me. Leave me alone. Okay. And now when they're doing that...
And now they don't like it.
Now they don't like it. Where'd the good men go? Why aren't people approaching? Blah, blah, blah.
They're in the friend zone.
Well, I don't like it when people say that.
I know.
Because I have a problem with that because when someone says they're in the friend zone, from a male perspective, I think that guy's a bitch. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but if you're hanging around a girl and waiting for her to break up, just so you can kind of weasel your way in there.
But like, has he communicated those feelings?
Yeah, you're a bitch. My biggest thing is like, I don't approach women because in my opinion, if you're doing the right thing, you won't have to. Because if a woman likes you, she'll let you know.
Yeah, she will.
And then it's always better to date someone that likes you. Right? Common sense?
Mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, don't go after women that don't like you.
Yeah.
That's rule number one.
That's probably a wise rule.
Yeah, very rising. That's why I don't like the term chasing, because, you know, why don't men chase? Well, if you look at the term chase, what does that mean? It means something's running from you.
Isn't that the point, to let them go?
Yeah, like if they're running from you, just go on, run away, bye.
See ya.
Next, you know. So I think it's important as a man to be doing the right things. You know, like if you have a vision, if you have goals, just go after it.
Yep.
And then if you meet the right woman that's interested and is going the same direction you're going, great. Maybe something will happen, maybe it won't, but it's important to focus on your goals and get there, because a good example of this, I was in Arizona and I was working and I started going to the gym every day after work. I was going there for about an hour and a half, and I started getting really, really jacked, like more jacked than I'd ever gotten before. And it was showing. because I had to wear a work uniform where I was working. And I was starting to get a little bit of attention from women that I wasn't used to getting. Mm-hmm. And it's important to try to understand what type of attention you're getting, especially if you're not used to getting it.
Mm-hmm. And not fall for it.
Not fall for it, yeah. And we're not used to getting attention from a woman. It's a good feeling. You know you're doing something right. But unfortunately, this young lady wanted to hang out a little bit more often.
Unfortunately.
Well, this is the point. This is what every man needs to hear. Uh-huh. We started hanging out, and I stopped going to the gym to hang out with her.
Nope.
Yeah, never do that. Mm-mm. Because down the road, you get that conversation. I don't know why. I'm just not attracted to you anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Mm. Okay, let's rewind it back a little bit. When was she attracted to me? When I was jacked from going to the gym all the time. And I stopped going to the gym to hang out with her.
Because you weren't prioritizing yourself.
I wasn't prioritizing myself. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to prioritize myself. And no matter what happens or who I'm talking to or whatever, that I keep doing what I need to do as a man. And it changes, you know, depending on the situation, obviously. Mm-hmm. But, you know, if I had to change my schedule to go to the gym before work, so that way at night, hang out with her or whatever, and, you know. But it's important that you become the person that maybe one day, if you get married, your wife can be proud of. Mm-hmm. You know, your girlfriend can be proud of. You know, if you have kids, you want them to look at you and be like, "That's my dad." You know,
that's my dad.
Yeah, and it's. I heard a guy on TikTok. Big surprise. He was saying that, you know, if you had a kid right now and he said, "That's my dad," would you be proud of the person you are? Mm. Yeah, you want to talk about a gut punch? Mm. Yeah, you need to be doing some things a little different.
I like that.
Yeah.
Or the whole, would you be okay with somebody dating your kid if they were like you?
Right.
Like,
that's a big one.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you see that one a lot on TikTok.
Uh-huh.
Like, would you want your son to date a woman like you? And eyes get big.
It's like, oh, is that answer no? I'd be pretty fucking proud.
Yeah.
I would be.
Well, it's crazy, too, how things change, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's been 15 years since I got out of the military, and the person I was then, it's not even close to who I am now. It's so different.
Nope.
And it's funny how things
You have the same first name and last name, and that's about it.
I do. I'm Zach the friend, not the husband.
Zach with an H.
Yeah, Zach with an H. Which doesn't make any sense. You pronounce it out, Zach.
Zach.
But it looks
I always think that's stupid. Why is there an H?
But then think about the K. Like, you spell your name Zachary with a K. It's like, that looks stupid.
Zach.
You know, choking my name.
So Zach with a C is the only appropriate name.
I guess. I don't know. It's so weird growing up because you got that one syllable name, you know, and you're like, Zach! You know, and you're like, are you choking or you call me?
At least people don't call you Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Well, it's funny, too. Some of these people name their kids these weird, long names. So they have 3 first names and then their last name. Mm-hmm. You know.
I mean, whatever you want to name your kid, but you got to think about it. Is that kid going to be a fucking CEO?
Well, I think some people do it on purpose.
And that is where we're going to end for part 1. Come back next week for part 2. And we'll talk more about what we're talking about.
Squirrels.
See ya.